Hello dear viewers and welcome to a new episode of our program Newsroom Live. In today's edition we are going to cover a number of political, economic and tourism issues. I'm Lamia Abdesattar, the presenter of tonight's episode. Stay tuned. We will start tonight's episode with the political segment where President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi held summit talks with his Ugandan counterpart Yoweri Museveni at the Ittihadiyya Presidential Palace in Cairo on Tuesday, tackling bilateral ties and a number of regional and international issues of mutual concern. At a joint press conference after their talks, President Sisi said he and Museveni witnessed the signing of a memoranda of understanding in areas of technical cooperation such as water resources management, agricultural and food cooperation, investment, mutual visa exemption for holders of official passports, and diplomatic cooperation to support the establishment of a Ugandan diplomatic institute. The head of state said bilateral ties had witnessed remarkable development in recent times, reflecting the close ties that bind the two nations and emphasized Egypt's keenness to advance relations with Uganda to broader horizons, adding that Egypt was looking forward to a true partnership between the two countries. Meanwhile, the two leaders attended the inauguration of the Egyptian-Ugandan Joint Business Forum, which aims to identify available investment opportunities in both countries and begin taking effective and executive steps in this area. President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi received Turkish Foreign Minister Hakan Fidan in the attendance of Minister of Foreign Immigration and Expatriates Affairs Badr Abdelati. Presidential spokesman said that Turkish Foreign Minister extended greetings from President Recep Tayyip Erdogan to President Sisi, who highly appreciated the gesture and stressed the significance of enhancing bilateral ties. More details to follow.
President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi received the Turkish Foreign Minister Hakan Fidan in the attendance of the Minister of Foreign Immigration and Expatriates Affairs Badr Abdelati. Presidential spokesperson said Turkish Foreign Minister extended greetings from President Recep Tayyip Erdogan to President al-Sisi, who highly appreciated the gesture and stressed the significance of enhancing bilateral ties. The meeting witnessed mutual stress on the importance of activating economic cooperation between Egypt and Turkey, increasing the volume of trade exchange to reach $15 billion, and expanding the participation of Turkish companies in investment projects in Egypt. Talks also touched on regional issues, namely recent developments on the Gaza Strip, expressing full rejection to the military reoccupation of the Strip. The meeting also stressed the importance of reaching an immediate ceasefire and allowing access of humanitarian aid into Gaza. They also stressed the importance of releasing hostages, reiterating rejection to any displacement of the Palestinians. The meeting also discussed developments in Libya, Syria and Sudan, with President al-Sisi presenting Egypt's vision to achieve peace and stability, as well as efforts in this regard.
Minister of Foreign Immigration and Expatriates Affairs Badr Abdelati addressed a joint press conference alongside with his Turkish counterpart Hakan Fidan. Foreign Minister Abdelati said that talks tackled bilateral ties, regional and international issues, adding that Egypt and Turkey share common visions regarding dealing with current crisis in the region. Egypt's top diplomat added that both countries expressed keen interest to enhance cooperation and coordination to support security and stability in the region. Both sides also agreed to increase the volume of trade exchange to reach $15 billion, with Foreign Minister Abdelati calling on Turkish companies to invest in Egypt, pledging to remove any obstacles facing Turkish investors. On Gaza, Foreign Minister Abdelati said that Egypt and Turkey denounced the Israeli decision to control the Gaza Strip, with both countries sharing that same vision towards the importance of reaching a two-state solution and establishing a Palestinian state. Joint statement was issued by Egypt and Ivory Coast during the third round of political consultations between the foreign ministers of both countries. Minister of Foreign Affairs and Immigration Badr Abdelati on Monday met with Ivory Coast's Foreign Minister Kako Leon Adam in Cairo on boosting bilateral relations and exchanging views over regional and international issues. Details follow.
Minister of Foreign Affairs and Immigration Badr Abdelati on Monday met with Ivory Coast Foreign Minister Kako Leon Adam in Cairo. The talks probed distinguished relations binding the two countries, as well as regional and international files of concern. The meeting was followed by a press conference at the Foreign Minister headquarters at the new administrative capital. Addressing their press conference, Abdelati said their meeting tackled means of cooperation between Egypt and Cote d'Ivoire in several fields. He said that they focused on boosting economic cooperation and trade exchange between the two countries. Abdelati further pointed out that there are many Egyptian companies in mining and infrastructure fields in Cote d'Ivoire. The top diplomat reiterated that they discussed joint cooperation in the field of combating terrorism, as well as the agreement of free continental trade. He also illustrated that the meeting tackled security challenges and developments in the region, including the genocide war and starvation in Gaza, and stressed the importance of ceasefire in Sudan. For his part, Ivory Coast Foreign Minister said Egypt is leading figure in development and achievements in the African continent. He asserted the talks reflect common views over spreading peace and probed the means of fostering cooperation in tourism and aviation domains. Later on, the two sides issued a joint statement on the third round of political consultations between Egypt and Ivory Coast in the framework of strengthening strategic relations and coordination over regional and international issues of mutual concern. The statement also affirmed the significance of elevating a comprehensive partnership within the directives of the political leadership of both countries during the coming period.
Welcome back. Prime Minister Dr. Mustafa Madbouli held talks with Jordanian King Abdullah II at the royal court in Husseiniya on Tuesday, which centered on bilateral ties. Also, Premier Madbouli and his Jordanian counterpart Jafar Hassan opened the 33rd round of the Egyptian-Jordanian Higher Committee at the Jordanian Cabinet's headquarters in Amman, which discusses means of boosting cooperation between the two countries in the economic and political fields. The details.
Jordanian King Abdullah II received Prime Minister Mustafa Madbouli at the royal court in Al Husseiniya on Tuesday. During the meeting, King Abdullah affirmed his appreciation to the strong and solid historic relations binding the two countries. The Jordanian monarch further expressed his commitment to coordinating positions with President Sisi and consulting on various regional issues, as well as working to develop bilateral ties in priority areas of common interests. For his part, Premier Madbouli conveyed greetings of President Sisi to his brother King Abdullah II. He emphasized that the Egyptian-Jordanian relations are characterized by convergence of visions and goals and witnessed full coordination between the leaderships of the two countries. Madbouli expressed his hope that the work of this session of the committee would be crowned with success, fulfilling the aspirations of the two brotherly peoples. The meeting was held as part of Prime Minister Madbouli's visit to Jordan to chair the 33rd session of the Egyptian-Jordanian Joint Higher Committee. Madbouli and his Jordanian counterpart Jafar Hassan opened the 33rd round of the Egyptian-Jordanian Higher Committee at the Jordanian Cabinet's headquarters in the capital Amman. The committee discusses means of boosting cooperation between the two countries in the economic and political fields. The committee meetings will be followed by the signing of a number of agreements in various fields. The deals aim at fostering economic cooperation and trade relations. Madbouli and his accompanying delegation arrived in the Jordanian capital on Monday and was received upon his arrival at the Marka military airport by the Jordanian Minister of Industry, Trade and Supply, along with the Jordanian ambassador to Egypt and the Egyptian ambassador in Jordan.
Egypt's National Authority has announced that the 2025 Senate elections produced a 17.1% turnout, with 11.8 million voters casting ballots out of 69.3 million eligible citizens. NEA Chairman Hazem Badawi revealed the figures during a press conference on Tuesday, stating that of the total votes cast, 11.3 million were valid, representing 95.3%, while 516,818, representing 4.36%, were invalid. Badawi announced that the National Unified List, the only closed party list in the race, secured victory in the elections. On 4 to 5 August, domestic voting took place in the 2025 Senate elections across 8,286 polling stations nationwide, but under full judicial supervision and amid tight security measures. On the 1st and 2nd of August, Egyptians abroad concluded their voting in the 2025 Senate elections across 136 polling stations at Egyptian embassies and consulates in 117 countries. A total of 9,500 judges from the State Lawsuits Authority and Administrative Prosecution Authority oversaw the Senate elections. And to shed more light on the Senate elections 2025, we are joined by Nile TV's correspondent Mehisti Rabia.
The National Election Authority announced the final result for the Senate elections 2025. The National Authority thanked the Egyptian voters for participating with these numbers at the Senate elections, and they said that the election was a real success with the participation of the Egyptian voters who were keen to participate in that democratic process, which is leading to a more democratic and more successful democratic life, with the participation of the Egyptians who were keen to practice their rights in voting. Indeed, the National Election Authority thanked the Egyptians for participating in the election despite the challenges which are taking place in the region, and these challenges are also showing how Egypt is stable and sincere to keep the democratic path toward a better future for the Egyptians. Also, they asserted that the elections did take place in a very transparent and democratic environment. After the vote count, according to the National Election Authority, and the count of the expat vote, the final result were approved earlier today. The registered voting, 69,330,318, and the people who did cast their ballot were 11,837,882, which is about 17.1% of the total voter. The valid vote were 11,321,070, which is about 95.36%, and the invalid vote were only 516,818. There will be a runoff in about 5 governorates, which are Ismailia, New Valley, Al Gharbiya, Luxor, and also, Bani El Suwaif will witness runoff between the individual voters, and we have to mention here that the list that did win in the election, which is the winner for the election, which is the القائمة الوطنية من أجل مصر, or the national list for Egypt, who did win about 5% of the total vote for the list. Our dear viewers, that was the most important points that were mentioned by the National Elections Authority regarding the Senate voting, and indeed they were keen to thank all the bodies that did contribute in the success of that voting process for the Senate 2025, the military, the security apparatus, the health ministry, and all the judicial figures that were keen to perform their duty in these elections. Our dear viewers, that was the press conference from the National Election Authority, press conference for announcing the final results of the Senate elections from the building of Maspero, the National Media Authority.
And moving to the news of Gaza, where Egypt stressed its full rejection and condemnation to the Israeli plan to fully occupy Gaza Strip, which only aimed at boosting the Israeli illegal occupation to the Palestinian territories and prevent the Palestinians from practicing their self-determination rights forever. A foreign ministry statement said the Israeli steps are a continuation of the flagrant violation of the international law, which will only lead to more bloodshed and regional tension and hatred. Egypt also called on the international community to shoulder its political responsibility and to act fast to stop the Israeli arrogance, asserting the two-state solution is the only way to achieve Middle East peace. Al-Azhar released a statement on Saturday condemned the latest Israeli plan to expand its military control over Gaza, describing it as a blatant attempt to erase Palestine from the map and swallow the remaining land via military force and terror. The statement urged Arab, Muslim and global powers to unite and to intensify political and diplomatic efforts, as well as legal pressures, taking a firm action to halt this unprecedented catastrophe. Al-Azhar also warned that the occupation's policies of arrogance, violence and contempt for international law risk plunging the entire region into a disastrous, chaotic situation. Al-Azhar's call adds to the growing wave of regional and international voices demanding an immediate end to the Israeli genocide war in the Palestinian-occupied enclave of Gaza. The 13th humanitarian aid convoy to Gaza entered from Egypt through the Rafah border crossing. The convoy carried thousands of tons of food and emergency aid. Details follow.
Egypt's 13th humanitarian aid convoy headed on Tuesday to the Gaza Strip through the Karam Abu Salem border crossing southeast of the enclave. The 13th convoy of the initiative Zaid al-Izza from Egypt to Gaza includes dozens of trucks loaded with food, flour, medical supplies, canned meals, legumes, personal care items, infant formula, drinking water and other relief materials. The Egyptian aid trucks lined up at the Rafah border crossing before making their way into the war-torn Gaza. The latest aid delivery falls within the framework of Egypt's ongoing efforts to ease the humanitarian crisis and suffering faced by more than 2 million Palestinians in Gaza. The Egyptian Red Crescent has been present at the border since the start of the crisis, serving as a national mechanism for coordinating and dispatching aid to Gaza. The Rafah land port has never been closed from the Egyptian side and remains on standby across all logistics centers, maintaining continuous efforts to deliver assistance. More than 36,000 trucks carrying nearly 500,000 tons of humanitarian and relief aid have entered through the crossing thanks to the efforts of 35,000 Red Crescent volunteers. The delivery of aid comes amid severe restrictions imposed by Israeli occupation forces, which closed all border crossings to Gaza on March the 2nd, following the expiration of the first phase of a Gaza ceasefire agreement and the failure to reach a new truce deal. Israeli occupation military subsequently violated the ceasefire on March 18th with heavy airstrikes and resumed ground incursions into areas it had previously withdrawn from.
Welcome back, dear viewers, and to shed more light on this issue, we are delighted to be joined over the phone by His Excellency Ambassador Gamal Bayoumi, former Assistant Foreign Minister. Good evening, sir.
Good evening, how are you?
I'm fine, hope you're doing well. So, Your Excellency, Egypt welcomed Australia's announcement that would recognize a Palestinian state at the UN General Assembly in September. In your opinion, what significance does this hold for Egypt's foreign policy?
We are doing all the efforts in all the different fronts. We are doing very good effort on the international level. At the United Nations, we made a positive initiative. 154 countries voted with us to stop the war and to recognize a Palestinian state. Africa, the whole African Union is with us and voting for the PLO, and invited the ambassador of PLO in Addis Ababa to be present in the African Union meetings. While they fired the Israeli ambassador from the meeting and not grant him any occasion to watch what is going on. On the Islamic front also we are making good effort. In Latin America, many countries are with us. So this is one additional effort of Egypt in order to bring more and more recognize of the Palestinian question. But I want to warn our audience that this is not a problem which will end in few days. This will take years and decades until we win this battle against Israel. And the good thing here is the Palestinian resistance. I admire what the Palestinians are doing. They never let their houses and their land, although it is impossible to live there.
Yes, it's the humanitarian situation there is really catastrophic. Your Excellency, do you think that putting international pressure on Israel can be a game changer of the current situation in Gaza?
Of course, but the most important pressure is coming from within inside Israel itself. 500,000 Israelis left the country because they discovered that it is not the promising land or it is not the paradise. And so in one day to come, take 10 years or 15 years, the Israelis will be a minority vis-a-vis the Palestinians. What shall they do? So those who are calling for the two-state solution, as a matter of fact, they are trying to keep the Israeli with the state of Israel. But if it is one state, then the Palestinians will be majority. What they are going to do with this? So time is with us, but we need patience and patience all the time to support the Palestinian. And also we have to be worried about those who are making propaganda against our position. They are trying to penetrate our good stand, but we have to be very careful because there are many rumors and many people are intervening with negative stories, but we are there and we think that at the end of the day, take 10, 15 years at least, then we shall win this battle.
So, Your Excellency, apart from diplomatic support and advocating for Palestinian statehood, what other concrete steps taken by Egypt to support the Palestinian issue and assist the Palestinians, whether in Gaza or in the West Bank?
We never reserved any effort or any finance or any support, and you have seen maybe on the screens how hundreds of trucks are waiting to enter it's a Palestinian territory with the medicine, with the food, with water. Children are killing themselves. 1/3 of the Palestinian children do not have water. Water situation. So, but Egypt, and with Egypt also, the Arab countries who are in a position to support this question, we are doing our best. But something we have to resist at all, to be dragged to a war against the United States. We cannot tolerate a war against the United States. And we have a problem here, because the United States is making what I call double-faced policy. They give the Palestinians $60 million of aid, and they gave Israel $22 billion and the weapons and the information. So we have to be very careful dealing with the United States government, especially the government of the actual President Trump.
Yes, hope to see an end soon to this disastrous and catastrophic humanitarian situation there in Gaza. Thank you so much, Your Excellency, Ambassador Gamal Bayoumi, former Assistant Foreign Minister. And dear viewers, we'll have a short break and we'll be right back. Australia Prime Minister Anthony Albanese said on Tuesday his Israeli counterpart Benjamin Netanyahu was in denial about the humanitarian situation in Gaza, a day after announcing Australia would recognize a Palestinian state for the first time. Albanese said on Monday that Australia would recognize a Palestinian state at next month's United Nations General Assembly, a move that adds to international pressure on Israel after similar announcements from France, Britain and Canada. Albanese said Israel's reluctance to listen to its allies contributed to Australia's decision to recognize a Palestinian state. Tens of thousands of demonstrators marched across Sydney's Harbour Bridge this month, calling for aid deliveries in Gaza as the humanitarian crisis worsened. This came as Spain said it had evacuated 44 wounded or ill children from war-torn Gaza, along with about 100 of their relatives over the past several months. And now we move to the news of business and economy, where economic relations between Egypt and Uganda are marked by real growth and significant support from Cairo and Kampala through the establishment of cooperation mechanisms such as business councils and implementation of vital development projects in energy, water and agriculture sectors. The Egyptian-Ugandan Business Council was launched to promote investment supporting the long-standing historical relations between the two brotherly countries. Details follow.
Britain's unemployment rate remained at a 4-year high according to official data which was released on Tuesday, as job vacancies shrank during a period that included a UK tax hike and US tariffs kicking in. The rate stood at 4.7% in the 3 months to the end of June. It was unchanged from the March-May period when it reached the highest level since June 2021. The cooling labour market comes as a business tax hike laid out in the Labour government's inaugural budget took effect in April, with analysts warning it would lead companies to scale back hiring. April also saw the beginning of a baseline 10% tariff on the UK and other countries by US President Donald Trump. There was a modest fall in company headcount, while wage growth, excluding bonuses, held steady as price pressures persisted. Data also showed job vacancies tumbled by 44% in the 3 months to the end of July to 718,000, its lowest level since April 2021. The ONS said that there was evidence some firms may not be recruiting new workers or replacing those who have left. The Bank of England cut its key interest rate last week by a quarter point to 4% as it bids to boost the struggling UK economy threatened by US tariffs.
Egypt's Ministry of Planning said in a statement that preparatory meetings of the Joint Committee in Amman started with the aim of boosting their mutual relations in various domains, especially the economic and investment ones. The statement highlighted that the Joint Jordanian-Egyptian Committee, the oldest and most regular in Arab committees, as it includes various topics of common interests.
Preparatory meetings for the 33rd session of the Egyptian-Jordanian Joint Committee began at the expert level in Amman on Sunday as the two countries seek to advance their bilateral relations amid regional and global challenges. Egypt's planning ministry said the expert-level meetings will be followed by ministerial preparatory meetings co-chaired by Minister of Planning, Economic Development and International Cooperator Rania Al-Mashat and Jordanian Minister of Industry, Trade and Supply Yaroub Falah Al-Kudah. The Joint Higher Committee will be then convened co-chaired by the Prime Ministers of both countries. Al-Mashat said the committee's regular convening emphasizes the strength of relations and the keenness of both governments to achieve tangible progress. She said in a statement that the Egyptian-Jordanian Joint Committee is the oldest and the most regular of the Arab committees and reflects the mutual keenness to advance relations in various domains between the two brotherly nations. The committee's agenda includes numerous topics of mutual interest with a focus on economic investment and trade relations as well as food and energy security. The discussions will also cover small and medium-sized enterprises and the situation of Egyptian labor in Jordan. Since the committee's first session in 1985, more than 173 joint cooperation documents have been signed across all priority areas. The Ministry of Planning, Economic Development and International Cooperation oversees approximately 55 joint committees between Egypt and various countries. In 2024, it held meetings of joint committees with Romania, Jordan, Tajikistan, Poland and Uzbekistan, followed by the first session of the Egyptian-Swiss Joint Committee in 2025.
Welcome back, dear viewers. Egypt's stock market indices collectively rise in the trading session on Tuesday after high rate of profit-making purchased by local and international investors. The benchmark EGX 30 index gained 0.26% to close at 36,003.65 points. The EGX 70 index for small and medium businesses also gained 0.57% to reach 10,646.9, and the broader EGX 100 index also gained 0.44% at the closure to reach 14,321.16. The market capitalization gained about £2 billion to close at £2,504 billion amid transactions of about £164.4 billion. And moving to tourism, where Prime Minister Dr. Mustafa Madbouli chaired a meeting on Sunday at the government headquarters in New Alamein City to follow up on preparations for the Grand Egyptian Museum's opening ceremony. Details follow.
Dr. Mustafa Madbouli, the Prime Minister, chaired a meeting at the government headquarters in New Alamein City to follow up on preparations for the Grand Egyptian Museum's opening ceremony scheduled for November the 1st. The meeting was attended by Dr. Ahmed Ghounim, the Chief Executive Officer of the Grand Egyptian Museum Authority, Ambassador Yasser Shaaban, the Assistant Foreign Minister for Cultural Relations, Mr. Mohammed Saadi, the board member of the United Media Services and general supervisor of the opening preparations, along with a number of officials. At the onset, Dr. Madbouli stressed the importance of continuous follow-up on the preparations for the opening ceremony following the announcement of the new date to ensure full coordination and harmony amongst all state bodies involved. He emphasized the need for the event to reflect the grandeur of this cultural landmark and its national significance. Ambassador Yasser Shaban reviewed the status of the invitations extended to world leaders for this unique event, confirming that invitations had been sent to various countries and Egyptian ambassadors abroad are following up to secure the attendance of the largest possible number of heads of state. The list of prominent public figures invited to the ceremony was also presented. Mr. Mohammed Saadi outlined key aspects of preparations for the ceremony, detailing ongoing arrangements for the main event and providing a summary of its program, along with accompanying activities. He also addressed the expected media coverage, noting strong interest from leading global media outlets in covering the event. The ceremony is anticipated to be at the forefront of international media attention, given the global cultural significance of the Grand Egyptian Museum, which stands as a heritage treasure beyond national borders.
For more on this issue, we are delighted to be joined over the phone by Dr. Ahmed Badr, the tourism expert. Good evening, sir.
Good evening. Good evening to you and all the audience. Thank you very much.
You're doing well. And in your opinion, doctor, did Egypt succeed in promoting for this gorgeous inauguration?
Well, we've been waiting for this inauguration and opening for years. First it was set to be 2020, and then it was postponed for different reasons, and now finally it's 1st of November. Hopefully there will be no other things to affect it and to postpone it. I hope just open it, we just need to open it because the whole world is waiting for it. We're waiting for it, and definitely it will give a big, huge boost to Egyptian tourism, incoming tourism, which will affect positively the Egyptian economy in general. So yes, definitely we need it, and not just we Egyptians, but the whole world is looking forward to it.
So, doctor, how many artifacts will be displayed at the opening, and how many are being already transferred from other museums?
It's thousands. Well, first of all, the full collection of King Tut, which is about 5,000 pieces. I think even more than 5,000 pieces. So, and plus the other pieces that are already in exhibition there, which is in the in the areas that was opened already. So we're talking about thousands of pieces, which is the museum now needs at least 3 to 4 hours just to visit it. So I think after the grand opening, and having all the King Tut collection in display, I think it might need a full day, which also will be a good thing for us in the travel business, because we will need to add one extra day to most of the programs just for the museum. And there are restaurants and cafes and places to rest, so you can spend easily a full day there enjoying all the amazing pieces over there.
So, doctor, how will this museum contribute to Egypt's tourism and cultural heritage on a global scale?
The Grand Egyptian Museum is the biggest museum in the world dedicated to one civilization, and it's the greatest add to the Egyptian tourism portfolio since years ago, for so many reasons. the media around it and the marketing campaign around it and the display and the pieces will be displayed there, and the pieces already displayed there. There are pieces that were in the warehouses for years and years and years. Now they are in display and they are just more than amazing. More people just really get blown away when they see these artifacts. And as I said, the museum is so big that it will need almost a full day. So definitely you need to add another day, which will be, which means add on more income for travel business, from the companies, for the hotels, for everybody. And at the end, it will be a great add for the Egyptian economy in general.
Yes, doctor. So in your opinion, do we need to promote or use more creative ideas to promote for Egyptian tourism to attract more segments of, or to reach out for more segments of tourists? For example, using social media, using other creative ideas?
Of course, yes, that goes without saying. Promotions and marketing campaigns and all their ongoing thing. You cannot do campaign and then you just stop, because other countries, they do it non-stop. So definitely that ongoing thing. You have to use every way possible to reach the people who will be your potential travelers by any means, by any ways, all the time, every time. New ideas, creative ideas, definitely. That's something that all the countries around the world, that they are fighting over it, because tourism is one of the main sources of income for any economy around the world. So yes, definitely that's something we definitely need it all the time, every time.
So we're all waiting for this inauguration. Thank you so much, Dr. Ahmed Badr, tourism expert. And dear viewers, we'll have a short break and we'll be right back. Moving to technology, 4 astronauts from NASA's Crew 10 mission departed the International Space Station aboard SpaceX Dragon capsule, heading for splashdown off the U.S. West Coast Saturday morning after a 5-month crew rotation mission at the orbiting lab. The return will mark the end of the 10th crew rotation mission to the space station under NASA's Commercial Crew Program, which was created to succeed the space shuttle era by partnering with private industry. More details to follow.
After nearly 5 months on board the International Space Station, an international crew of 4 astronauts began the descent back down to Earth in a SpaceX capsule. U.S. astronauts, Japan's and Russian cosmonaut are expected to spend more than 17 hours in the capsule before splashing down off California's coast on Saturday. The return will mark the end of the 10th crew rotation mission to the space station under NASA's Commercial Crew Program, which was created to succeed the space shuttle era by partnering with the private industry. The capsule's dizzying drop back down to Earth will be slowed when it re-enters the atmosphere, and then again by huge parachutes to soften its landing. After the capsule splashes down, it will be recovered by a SpaceX ship and hoisted aboard. Only then will be the astronauts able to breathe Earth's air again for the first time in months. The astronauts, known as Crew 10, conducted numerous scientific experiments during their time on the space station, including studying plant growth and how cells react to gravity. The launch into space in March was heavily scrutinized because it finally allowed 2 U.S. astronauts who had been unexpectedly stuck on board the space station for 9 months to return home. However, the spaceship developed propulsion problems and was deemed unfit to fly back, leaving them stranded in space.
By this, dear viewers, we come to the end of this edition of Newsroom Live. Hope you enjoyed it. That was Lamia Abdesattar, the presenter of tonight's episode. Thank you for watching and stay tuned for more.